running game wise, you guys don't have, Trey and Shy's injured. How hard is it to fix this running problem when you don't have all your pieces?
Not as difficult as you might think. Obviously, we'd like to have Trey and Shy out there right now, but we got a really good group that is practicing right now. And then the main thing is just the offensive line, getting a feel for Coach Searels and the things that we're doing in the run game, quarterbacks, offensive line, tight ends, receivers, all of us. So we can certainly make strides with the run game this spring, even with having a couple guys out. And through 4 days, really feel like we're better. There's no question about it.
Is JC bigger this? Did you want him to be?
Not necessarily. We just talked to him about continuing to get stronger. I don't think he's much different from a weight-wise standpoint than he was last year. He's stronger. He broke the front squat record in the weight room, so he's a strong guy. It shows up in pass protection and durability. He doesn't get knocked around being a small guy. So I don't know if he's bigger, but he's certainly stronger and is durable like he was last year as well.
There's so many bodies at tailback. Like, when do you feel like you have to narrow it down?
I don't know if you really need to in the springtime right now. I mean, we talk to our guys about we're competing every day, and we've said from day one that every day is going to be extremely competitive. And Saturday we had a couple guys that had really good practices on Thursday and Friday at the tailback position that I didn't think had a great day on Saturday, and other guys did, and they got passed. And today's another opportunity for guys to try and pass guys back and things like that. So every day is a competition. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know if you really need to narrow things down because you know that you've got Trey and Shy coming in the fall as well, and you got to give them another opportunity in August as well. But you can certainly. With the group that's working right now, certainly coming out of spring, have a good idea about where guys are going to fit in coming out of spring practice, and we will.
It looked like Caleb was regular today after being blue last week.
Yeah, he went regular Saturday, which was a surprise. I mean, I was kind of counting on him being in blue and limited for about half of spring practice, but Mike Goforth came in our staff meeting on Friday and said that he'd be full goal on Saturday and looked great and looked good today also.
How eager are you to see what he can do? I mean, I know he switched to tailback, but that was like last August.
Yeah, eager. He and I sat down right after the bowl game. As soon as he came back and talked about, look, it's time for you to take another step. And Joel's a guy who's extremely talented. He's probably growing up. He was bigger than everybody, stronger than everybody, faster than everybody, and now he's at a level where a lot of people are the same, and he's had to find that extra gear. I think we've talked to Joel about it. Sometimes he always plays in fourth gear, and you've got to shift to fifth gear, and find that extra something. And he's done that from January when we started in the weight room to now. I think he's taken a step and has been more mature and more serious about his work.
Sounds like Marshawn had sort of a clearinghouse thing to clear up. How much did that put him behind?
The only thing he missed was he missed some of our meetings, and he missed a few of our early morning workouts, really all of them except one, so he got out of that. So he may not be in as good a shape as other guys are, but he didn't miss anything really. I mean, I've been blown away with how he's picked up things from an intelligence standpoint, getting lined up. I mean, he's as far along as any of our backs that have been here. I've really been surprised from that standpoint, and he's doing a good job.
How physically ready is he to contribute for you?
I think he's physically ready. I mean, I think he's already getting a reputation out there of a guy you don't want to be in his path or be in his way when he's running the football. There have been a couple oohs and ahs of him carrying the football the last couple of days in practice. He's a guy that he seeks out contact. Some of those running backs, they get out in the open field and they want to make you miss, and he does too, but I think he'd rather run you over if he has a chance. So he reminds me a lot of JC. A couple years ago when JC came in, he wasn't your typical freshman. He was more mature, and Marshawn's along those same lines. I mean, when we do a team period against the starting defense, he can't wait to get in. Some guys that should still be in high school, they're shying away, and you got to push them in. Not him. He wants to know, hey, are we full speed today? Are we tackling live? Can we do this? Can we do that? And he's having fun and has really done a nice job of picking things up mentally as well.
When you see Kevin
that yet. It's who can be consistent over a long period of time. You'd like to, in the spring, figure out who your candidates are to be your first 5 starters, and then who your next your swing guys are. But when it really counts is when we kick it off in August.
At least right now, you've got Teller at guard and Connie at tackle. What do you see in them to kind of decide on those positions for a starting point this spring?
I think they're tough kids that work hard. They take coaching, and they're trying to be consistent. I like the way they're competing.
Was Teller sliding in? I think he finished last year as a tackle. I don't know how much you look at what he did last year. Was there something about his body type or demeanor?
I think it's trying to get the best vibe on the field, and I think him being in the interior, he's got a good chance of playing there quickly.
Is that a similar thing with Benedict? I know he's kind of shuffled between guard and tackle his entire career.
Right. He's probably better suited inside, but he's played tackle on the bench, and the more positions you can play, the more valuable you are, and the easier it is to throw you out there on the field when somebody goes down.
What's your initial impressions of Austin Smith that you've had a chance to work with him?
Oh, he's a great kid, great attitude, works hard, very coachable, and I like the kid a lot. I like him a lot.
Is there anyone that stood out that maybe is a leading candidate for a starting spot at this point?
Oh, Jonathan played last year at left tackle. He's overcome an injury, but he's working through it. Caleb Ferris has played a lot of ball here. He's lining up with the first unit. Right now, today, he had to line up at center. But Augie has competed his tail off this offseason. He's probably worked harder than anybody. Him and Wyatt maybe have worked harder than anybody. And if they can get everything down, they'll be playing a lot this fall.
Compare the offense this spring to where it was at this time last spring. It seems like it's a lot more advanced this
right.
time.
It's hard to really even think about last spring. It was our first time as a staff running this offense. It was the first time with the players running it. It just seems a lot more fluid this spring, a lot more fun. I think the guys are a lot more comfortable, and that makes all the difference in the world.
We asked Willie last week, he was talking about playmakers, and he said he expects you'll have more game-breaking, playmaking ability on the field. Do you know where that's going to come from?
Yeah. I mean, you'd like to hope that with our tight end group that they'd be able to add to some of that. Having Malik back, having Bucky out there is going to help us. And then in the wide receiver group, just continuing to develop our young playmakers, the Carlos Parkers and the Deion Newsoms of the world, guys that we need to step up and be those guys. And Josh and Dimitri and Willie have done a great job so far this spring ball, and we got to just keep developing the group.
It looks like the run game's going to make it a little bit easier on you guys this year. I mean, Marshawn's in here, that dude's massive. Trey should be healthy, so just kind of talk a little bit about, how much of a relief that'll be. It's not all on your guys.
Well, I tell you what, when you're able to run the ball, it creates so many mismatches within the offense. And when you can't, all of a sudden the defense, the D-line can tee off, and they put their hand back in that sprinter stance and go. And that's not what you want, And when they know you're going to pass, all of a sudden they can do different things. When they have to, get up there, adjust to the runs and adjust to the passes, all of a sudden now we have the advantage back. And so I think that's going to be a big difference.
Coach, you go back to Deion Newsom for a second. We've seen a little bit of Carlos, but not much of Deion. What does he bring to the table?
I tell you, he's a great athlete. He's a guy that's got a really quick, really fast, and explosive guy, and just with him picking up the offense was a little bit of a hurdle last year, but the playmaking ability at times was flash, and I think that we saw that, and giving him a year to redshirt to just go out there, be a playmaker on the scout team and continue to learn our offense, and now he's out there this spring, and it's like he's a different guy. He's just out there, he's playing football, and that's what you expect sometimes out of those redshirt guys, and we're excited about him. I think the guy's got a chance to be a really good football player for us this fall.
Last year, DJ was clearly the sort of veteran leader in your room. Who fills that role?
I tell you what, it's Willie Burns got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy that's got to be the veteran leader. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be just him. It's got to be Josh Stanford. It's got to be Dimitri, because those are the guys that have played in the games. And although Dimitri's not the loudest guy, he has a way about him. But I think Josh and Willie got to be the guys. It's got to be those leaders, the guys that'll call somebody out when they're not doing the right thing.
Can Deion help in the return game too?
I hope so. He's getting back there at the punt returners, kick returners. So we'll see. I mean, that's kind of let's see how they do this fall or this spring and get him into the fall and see how they do. But I'd hope he'd be a guy that can return because he's fast and he's going to break tackles, and that's what you want out of your return guy.
I think I've asked you this before, but how many freshmen do you expect to play come fall?
I don't know. I don't like to answer that question. I think there's got a couple guys that'll have a chance, but they got to beat out these guys who are here, and you hope that they come in, and you didn't bring them in not to play. You bring them in to come help the this football team, and you hope. But, you know, when you start worrying about who's playing and who's not going to play, you can get yourself in trouble. Because I tell you, last year at this time, I would have guaranteed Carlos Parker would not have been on that field in the fall. And he played, you know, he didn't play a ton, but he played enough. And I mean, so to sit there and think that a guy will or won't play, I think you get yourself in trouble guessing. I think you let him go out there and let him play and see what happens.
The guys you signed this year, that they all played wide receiver in high school. Is it easier for them to make the adjustment as opposed to maybe a guy like Carlos Parker or Deion Newsom, who were quarterbacks in high school?
I think it is. Just from talking to him, understanding the concepts, understanding the movements of the position, I think it helps, you know. But, you know, those guys have to match what we're doing and understand that they have to be able to learn the offense and all those different things too. But we got some smart guys. I think that guys that can come in and pick this thing up, and if they can help this football team, I'm put them out there. I don't care who's out there. I don't care if it's 4 freshmen or 4 older guys. It is what it is. It's the best 4 guys that are going to go out there and help this team win an ACC championship. That's who's going to go out there. And, you know, I like playing 6 guys. So, you know, you'd hope a couple of those young guys can step up and get some playing time.
Can you talk about Coach